Hello everybody and welcome back to the Walsall Rewind, where I'm joined as always by my colleague Paul. We'll be looking back at the month of November, which again was another busy one for everybody here at the football club, as the Saddlers were in action 6 times across 3 different competitions. As well as looking back at those games, we'll be looking at everything else that's been happening around the club, both in November and moving into the month of December. Paul, it was, as always seems to be at this moment in time, another busy month in terms of the games that we covered. We'll start with quite an entertaining game in the FA Cup against League One side Bolton. Josh Sheehan got the visitors ahead in that game with a fine free kick, but it showed the resilience that the Saddlers have got to get themselves back level only 4 minutes later with a fine shot from Liam Gordon as well. And then Jamie Jellis gives us all a moment that everybody hopes for in a cup tie with a 90th minute winner. It was just that, a very entertaining game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a really good afternoon against Bolton Wanderers, who are a good League One side. They'll be hoping to get out of League One at the right end. It's not, so they're not exactly where they want to be, but they're in amongst that top 6 area, not too far behind it. So we knew it was going to be a tough game, and they're a good side. They've got quality players, and I remember looking at it on the day. The strikers that they had on the bench that they could bring on as well. I think it was like Adebayo Ajo, Aaron Collins as well as in their squad. So they had a lot of firepower, Bolton, and I thought we more than matched them, and I thought we in the end deserved to get the victory. And I think even at the time before Bolton scored, we were playing quite well, and we were getting after them, and as we always do. And they were having a lot of problems caused by the Saddlers, so they knew they were in for a battle. But it was real quality from Sheehan, wasn't it, with that free kick. Take nothing away from him, but the character and resilience and the determination from the Saddlers, get back into the game really quickly, which was important, because I think if Bolton had time to perhaps settle in a shape and bit of master of the dark arts later in the game, they probably had enough experience there to see it out. But it was the Saddlers who got after them. Liam Gordon with his equaliser against his former club, of course. That was almost inevitable. I remember speaking to him for the programme that day, and he was saying he was really looking forward to playing against them. I think it was the first time he played against them since he left. So I think he had the bit between his teeth that afternoon. And what a moment for Jamie Jellis. Kept his composure, didn't he? It was a real big moment. A key moment in a key game, and he showed that mentality to keep his composure and find the back of the net and fire us into the second round.
Yeah, it was one of those where we often talk about, not necessarily on camera, but just as days go by, the transition period that the Saddlers are incredibly good at in games of, winning the ball back quickly and then going again and hurting teams with that. And it felt like that in both of those moments in that game. I think the first goal, the equaliser from Liam Gordon, was a long ball over the top, which he spoke about anticipating their entire defence missing it, and he did, and he hit it flush on the volley straight past their goalkeeper. It was a great strike from him. And then the same goes with the winner for Jamie Jellis. I think it's a long ball forward from Tommy Simkin at that point, and then Nathan Lowe just takes his time with it, just shifts the ball, and is able to move it around. And I think Jamil Mack creates a fantastic third man run, which pulls the defenders away and allows Jamie Jellis that space there. And like you say, really took his time with it, stayed composed, and in those kind of moments you can thrash at those kind of chances, but took his time, and it's a great finish from him on the day.
It's a superb finish from him, it really is. And like I say, it's all a team effort. Every goal, you actually pick the bones out of it there, and then you see all the little bits that others do. Nathan Lowe is, he's been selfless as well as selfish. With when he scored the many goals that he has, he's got that ruthless streak, but he's also got that ability to get his head up and really pick out a man and make the right decision, which he's shown real great maturity, hasn't he? And we'll talk more about him as we talk about November. But yeah, and the fact that it was in the stoppage time of the game, and it's what Matt Sadler always talks about. We created some memories. It's a game that will live long in the memory that fans have been talking about this season. So really good way to kick off the month.
Yeah, it was, and then you go back into league action, and it's a tough game against a Crewe side that sort of not necessarily gone under the radar, but not many people have paid too much attention to them getting themselves in and around the automatics and into the playoffs. And I think sometimes that's what you want as a team, isn't it? Nobody to necessarily notice what you're doing, but go about your business quietly and get yourself up there. And it didn't cause the Saddlers too many issues on the day, but the one time they got into a dangerous position, it was a ball threaded in between. I think it was Donovan Daniels and Taylor Allen at that point. It was Omar Bogle, who's an experienced striker at this level, at any level, to get himself in there, and it's a great finish just to guide it past Tommy Simkin. But then, Nathan Lowe pops up again. I feel like we'll be talking, an awful lot about him for the month of November, but his finish, similarly to the Jellis one, is superb, and he takes it really, really quickly and really well as well.
Yeah, he does. And obviously, going back to something you said earlier, Donovan Daniels, it was really good to see him get back into the team in November and get his first sort of minutes of the season, our skipper. Obviously not the circumstances we wanted after Harry Williams' nasty injury against Bolton. Thankfully he was okay. That was really good news, but I think the wall will probably take more damage than Harry Williams. What a man he is, and what a great season he's having, by the way. I'm sure we'll come on to that later in this rewind. But yeah, great to see Donovan back, but it was quite clear to see what Crewe wanted to get out of the game, and fair play to him. I think when you look at what the job Lee Bell's done over from the start of last season, really. I know he took over a bit before that, but from the start of last season, you've seen a bit of consistency from them in terms of they dig in, they really dig in. They're a tough old nut to crack, Crewe. We knew that last season when we went 2-0 up there and ended up drawing the game, and that's been a theme for them under Lee Bell's stewardship, that they hang in there, they dig in, they fight back, they find a way to get results, and that's what they were doing. I think they were finding a way to sort of try and nullify us as much as possible, and they got that moment where they managed to get a ball over to Bogle, and he's a really good striker at this level. He's been doing it for years at this level, hasn't he? We've seen him at the likes of Newport as well, doing really well, so I thought that was a really handy pick-up from them. Get their nose in front. I think he got taken off straight after, isn't he? I think they were about to take him off just before he scored. But again, I think the Saddlers rolled the dice, and we come on strong in the second half once again. And I think that Matt Sadler made quite a few substitutions. Was that one of the games he made 4?
Yeah,
it was 4 at once, wasn't it? I think one of those was George Hall as well, who had a hand in Lowe's goal, I believe, from memory.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's another one just starting to find his feet. He got that injury against Fulham. He came with quite a big reputation, didn't he, from Birmingham City, and didn't quite get his Sadler's career started, if you like. But I think since he come off the bench against Grimsby Town in October, got that assist for Danny Johnson, I don't think he's looked back, and we're going to come on to him a bit more, aren't we? But it was a beautiful ball, eye of the needle type stuff for Lowy, and when Lowy's in that position, you just don't have any doubts now, do you? You really don't, and he didn't really think about it. He just picked his spot, and in the end, the Saddlers got a point, and coming from behind, it could be a big one.
Yeah, we won't talk too much about those two naughty boys at the end of the Crewe game, Mr. Simon Hill and Mr. David Joyce, because they've had their tellings off, and we won't give them any more publicity on that one. But everybody who was there and everyone's been to the games after, particularly at home, will have seen where Simon's been. So those bands have now been served, and they're back doing what they do best. But Saddlers were then again at home. It's 3 games at home on the spin. Nightmare for you with the programmes. But, back there in the final group game of the now Virtue Trophy, was the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. It's had more names than I've had hot dinners. But it was one of those, again, you mentioned going into games and just sort of finding our feet in the first half of them, and then really sort of going at teams in the second half. And it was exactly that again against Shrewsbury. Half time, it's 0-0. And then you get Reyes Cleary scoring, George Hall scoring, and then Nathan Lowe scoring again. And the Saddlers win 3-0, clean sheet, and top the group, don't they?
That was it. Going into the game, I think Matt Sadler stressed the importance of it. He wanted that top spot. We were already through, but the attitude was go and win this game and go get that top spot, because Matt Sadler and everyone in the team, they wanted that home draw in the knockout stage. So it was an important game for the Saddlers. Again, another League One opposition, just beating Bolton, a couple of weeks early. So it was another chance to go and test themselves against a League One team who'd not long changed. Well, they'd had parted company with Paul Hurst, who I know Matt Sadler would have actually liked to have spent some time with him after the game, I'm sure, but it wasn't to be on that occasion. But obviously, you never know what's going to happen after a team, changes in the dugout with the manager. So it was a tricky test. Level at half time, wasn't too much in the game at that point, but I thought the Saddlers really turned the screw, and I thought they really, really professional that night, and for a much changed team as well. I thought Evan Weir was outstanding as well. Again, someone who's not had an awful lot of minutes. Ronan Mayer as well. Playing in a wing-back role. I thought he worked really hard. So there was a lot of positive. Really pleased for Reyes to get his first goal because he's probably not had as much minutes as he would have liked, and it's really difficult when the team's doing so well. When Nathan Lowe and Jamil might have struck such a good partnership, such a good understanding, and they're so effective, it's understandable that Matt Sadler will want to keep that going. And when it's getting results, it's very difficult for players to get their opportunity. But Reyes took it, and it was a really, really neat finish. I think it was a Weir's cross, wasn't it? And Reyes is there at the back post, and he arrows it in. Really good finish. So good moment for him. I was pleased for him, and I'm really pleased for George Hall as well, because I think that was the almost like the tip of the iceberg for George. Say he really has got back on his feet again after the injury problems he had at Birmingham City last year, and having a few weeks coming off the bench, making some really good cameos and having an effect. And I think that rounded off that said, yeah, George Hall is here, and George Hall is ready to fight for the Saddlers. And then Lowy did a Lowy. So I don't know what much more we can say about that. He's just Lowy.
Yeah, that third goal was actually a really nice passage of play, wasn't it? I think Evan played the pass into Jamil.
Right,
Jamil played it then to Taylor Allen, and Taylor's with the quality that he's got with those kind of deliveries, just put it on a plate for Nathan Lowe. And I think was that his 10th goal for the Saddlers in all competitions at that point. And we speak about maturity beyond his years. I know we'll go into the next game at that, but he really has got that and got his reward in that month for the previous month of October, getting his reward in November with the EFL Young Player of the Month. And it just goes to show that he really is learning and really is adapting in this loan spell.
He absolutely is, and having spoken to him on numerous occasions, he has learned a lot. But what impresses me is the demands he puts on himself. He doesn't settle. He's not satisfied. He wants more, or he'll score 2 goals, but all he'll think about is the chance he missed or the time he maybe didn't make the right decision. And he shouldn't be beating himself up. Obviously, he's done incredible, but he wants more. He demands more, and I love his attitude, and he's got that winning mentality. And I think that's rubbed off on everyone here. And it's so hard to believe he's 19. It's unbelievable. But just having conversations with him, he's just got such a mature head on young shoulder, and he's been an absolute revelation. Yeah, he really has.
And moving on from that, he then puts his stamp on another game, and we went to Wimbledon looking at it going, they'd only lost 1 at home as well all season, similar to the Saddlers in the league. I think they lost 1-0 to Grimsby at that point, who at that time were really good on the road, and we went there almost with the mentality of it's probably a must-not-lose game, and it felt like that. And again, the Saddlers were really resolute throughout, and then popped up with a bit of quality from Big Dave, of all people, running and making that third man number 8 run, so to say, into the box. And he just drills the ball across the 6-yard box, and Lowy makes a late run into there, so almost as if nobody can pay attention to him at that point, and just pops up at the right place at the right time, and the Saddlers get a deserved 1-0 win on the road.
Tell you what, he isn't popping up at the right time. My hair's all over the gap because of this vent above me, so sorry if you see me do this, Saddlers fans. But we went into that game obviously on the back of the international break, so we'd had a week off in what felt like a relentless November. Probably felt even more relentless because each game's a sandwich at both ends of the month rather than the middle. So after everyone had a nice little break in November because the Gillingham game was postponed, 5 players on international duty. The man you mentioned there, David Cadbury, what a week he had. Obviously played for Ireland, went to Marbella. It's all right for some, innit? I know where I'd rather be, but he went there and played. He didn't play the first game, which was a 2-0 defeat, and then he goes into the side for the second game. They're both against Sweden. For the second game, they win 3-2, so the big Dave effect, of course. But yeah, I was so impressed. I think that's one of the standout performances for me. I mean, a lot of fans may not agree because it wasn't as pretty, but to go away from home against one of the strongest teams, and they will be up there, they will. They're a good side, got some real quality, and players who cause you problems. I've always liked Virgil, handful of a strike, and obviously we know what Matty Stevens is all about. And then wing back as well, Tilly, good player. But anyway, back to us. I think what impressed me most was, I think in the first half, you stay in the game. We started pretty well, but then as Wimbledon starts growing into it, you're dogged, you're solid, and you get to half time, 0-0, perfect platform. And then we pounced, we really took our chance, and it's a great run from Dave, and the cross is superb, and Nathan Lowe, he just gets himself in the position, and it's a simple finish. I think, you know, we had Charlie Lakin arriving as well, so players were just on the verge of queuing up. But then after that, there was a bit of an onslaught of crosses, and Tommy Simpkin stood up like a man, and everything that was thrown at me was coming out, claiming punches, taking a whack. Yeah, Donovan Daniels as well, warrior-like performance on that day, and everyone threw their bodies on the line. But I think Matt Sadler also won us the game with his substitutions. I just felt the timing was spot on when we were under pressure, getting Brandon Comley on, you know, with Ryan Stirk still on there, and it really took the pressure off us, and we were able to just get a hold of the ball, a foothold again, and then bringing on Albert Adoma, who's got that know-how, hasn't he, that experience, and, you know, again, he was getting the ball in the corner, and, you know, getting some good passes back inside just to take the pressure off us, keep us high up the pitch. I thought those substitutions were really effective. So on the whole, for me, that is just the perfect away performance in League Two. It was superb.
I mean, you want to build on that kind of performance, and back at the Poundland Bescott Stadium again in the month of November, as we welcomed Bromley on a Tuesday night, one of our rearranged games, and you're looking at it and going, okay, you can make some ground upon Port Vale, who are, you know, the table toppers in League Two at this moment in time, and I think people not necessarily expected it to be an easy game, because as Sads always says, no game in League Two is easy, and it wasn't, because Bromley were, you know, incredibly regimented in the way that they went about their business on the night, and I actually thought they were probably one of the better teams that we've come up against in regards to stifling what the Saddlers wanted to do. They kept the ball high in the air. They didn't let us, you know, do anything that we wanted to do in the game, and I think we showed a different side to ourselves on that one when the breakaways were coming in. I think Nathan Lowe had one, you know, earlier in the game, and then Liam Gordon, the man who's furthest forward at that point in the game, I think it was 5 minutes before, you know, half time, gave the Saddlers a lead as he breaks from inside his own half and then takes his time, gets to the edge of the 18-yard box, and it's a great finish from him into the roof of the net. But then Bromley showed their own resilience, and Michael Cheeky, who I have to say was really impressive on the night, and then Danny Imray, the right wing back, I think he's on loan from Crystal Palace, got his first goal, another fantastic finish, I think, off the underside of the bar from a close angle. That then puts Bromley ahead. But then the big Dave effect again that we've been speaking about comes up and scores with the last kick of the game. Jamie Jellis, I'm not having it. You did not touch that ball. As much as you want to try and claim it, you're not having that. Dave, it's your goal. But the Saddlers showed their own resilience, and they kept going and got what I think you described after the game as what could be a really, really important point come the end of the season.
It could be. I think those games where you do come from behind, and it's not the best spectacle, it's not the best performance, and you still manage to get something from the game, especially last kick of the game. You know, I mean, we were sat there watching it, and we felt going into that last 5 minutes, which didn't quite look like scoring, did we? I didn't think it was coming. It wasn't. You know, the Saddlers, don't get me wrong, they were trying, they were having a lot of the ball, weren't they? But Bromley had just sat into that shape and made it very, very difficult to break down. So I think a set piece was going to be the potential thing that would unlock it. And thankfully it came. So, you know, full credit to the Saddlers for keeping on knocking on that door, going right until the end, because literally after that goal went in, the ref blew the full-time whistle, didn't he? So yeah, it could be a big point. I think it could be a big point. And I think we looked at it before those two games, Wimbledon, Bromley. We'd have all took 4 points. It's just everyone would have expected the draw at Wimbledon and Bromley. So I think when a lot of Saddlers fans look at what they thought before, you probably thought, well, actually, we got the amount of points I expected. I think a lot of people would have gone, I think we might get 4 points from those two games, just not the way round they came. But as you highlighted, Tom, and as Matt Sadler also said, they're a good team. You know, Michael Cheek's up there with the top scorers. He was brilliant. I like that Olamola as well. Mm-hmm. He's a handful. And I was speaking to our analyst before the game, and he highlighted Imray to me before the game as someone who really likes to get forward, who's, you know, really caught the eye in League Two. His stats are up there with the very best fullbacks in the division. So we knew he was going to be a threat, and he showed it. And I think he's backed up with a goal in the FA Cup after that game as well. So he's a man in real good form. It was a tricky test, and I think Bromley going into the game, it was 1 defeat in 8 or 1 defeat in 6, something like that, and 2 defeats in 10, albeit a lot of draws. And I think it is late goals that is their Achilles heel. So they don't lose many games. They are tough to beat. So it's probably not as bad a point as it looks, but obviously Sadler's needs to back it up in the league. But really pleased for Dave. Goal and assist, wasn't it, that game? It was his clearance for Liam Gordon's goal. So, big moment for him, really up in his form and, resilient performance, showed a different side, and I think that's a good sign that we're able to do that as well as, when we're pretty on the eye, like at Grimsby away and Swindon away, for example.
Yeah, and then we move into the final game of the month. Probably one to forget that, won't live long in the memory. It was a 4-0 defeat against League One side Charlton. Ghassan Ahadmi got a double coupled with goals from Matty Godden and a late strike from Tyrese Campbell. On the whole, I don't think it was a 4-0 game. I think, people will look at it and go, oh, the Saddlers have been smashed by a team in a division above. But, it wasn't. They took their chances well. Ahadmi with two really good, instinctive headers. I think his first goal, it's good build-up play from them. He's about 6 yards out. Simple header for him. His second goal, capitalises on a punch up into the air from Tommy Simkin, and he's just able to nod it home from close range. And the Matty Godden one comes from a Walsall mistake, and it's just one of those that won't look too much into it because they themselves again were a good League One side and right middle of the road in League One, and I think perhaps just a step too far in terms of League One teams for the Saddlers this season.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we beat most of them, so maybe by law of averages we were due a defeat to a League One team. But yeah, tough one. It was a difficult game. I felt the ball spent a lot of time in the air, which probably suited Charlton more than ourselves. I think watching it, in the first half, thinking, oh, not quite at our best here. Not quite at it. Just not quite as sharp as we normally are. It was a difficult game, and Charlton are a resolute side, and they got their nose in front. Like you say, Ahadmi, proper League One striker, isn't he? Big lad, good in the air, and they were playing to their own strengths, weren't they, Charlton? I just felt we weren't quite ourselves. We weren't quite at it, and there was a couple of mistakes as well, wasn't there? That led to goals, but I think start the second half. Come out with the intent. There's a bit more intent there, a bit more fire in the belly, a bit more urgency. And then again, I think Charlton, they weathered the storm, which you have to do away from, like we did at Wimbledon. And then when you do that, you give yourselves that platform, don't you? And then obviously, I think that third goal which is Ahadmi's second, puts the tie to bed really, and I think the whole place just goes flat. And then the fourth goal comes when the game's over by then. So yeah, one to forget, but like I say, bridge too far. I know, in the last two games of November, with an eye on December and how busy that's going to be, Matt Sadler made a couple of changes against Bromley, 6 changes for the game against Charlton, so trying to use his squad. So everyone's going to be needed at this moment in time, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, there was 9 goals scored from the Saddlers in the month of November. What would be goal of the month?
For the pure moment and the adulation, I'm going to go Jellis against Bolton.
Yeah, I'm going for a goal in that game. I'm not going for Jellis. I'll go for Liam Gordon just because I think it's a really good strike from him. On his left foot, real good volley. Those are our goals of the month. It's now your turn to vote for yours. So if you just head over to our social media pages, you'll be able to vote for yours. We picked 4 from those 9 goals that we've scored there. Now's your chance to vote for your favourite from that one. Elsewhere at the football club now, the Conference and Events Department have kick-started their Christmas evenings here at the Poundland Bescott Stadium, and it started at the end of November with their 80s versus 90s band night. It was a great occasion, so thank you to everybody who came along to that one. We've also got plenty more coming up here in terms of Christmas nights at the Bescott Stadium, and there is limited availability on tickets for the majority of our nights. If you'd like more information, please do contact our Conference and Events team and they'll be able to help you out further with those. Also, following the success of the night last year, this year we've got our Christmas with the Players evening here on the 12th of December. We're hoping that even more of you will be able to come along to that one. If you're interested in joining us for that evening, head over to our e-ticketing website or call the Conference and Events team again for more information. In the commercial department, we have some availability in hospitality for a number of our games coming up post-Christmas and going into the new year. If you would like to inquire about our hospitality and sponsorship packages, please head over to our official website and head to the commercial page for more information on those. As you can see, we're in the brand new Nofo suite. It's fantastic in here, and we really hope that everybody who's already booked to come into here has a fantastic time whilst they're in here. The viewing platform from outside, I'm sure you will have seen from some of the clips that we've already put out.
Simon Hill has.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. And you've got your chance to come and enjoy the Nofo suite. Our Virtue Trophy knockout game against Reading, it'd be a great occasion for you, and all you have to do is purchase a raffle ticket to be in with a shout of watching the game from in here. For more information on how to purchase a raffle ticket, please head over to our official website and you'll be able to see what you've got to do for that. The commercial department are also delighted to be welcoming the legendary Jimmy Walker to the Poundland Bescott Stadium for our upcoming games against Notts County and Barrow. Jimmy will be signing copies of his new book, Size Isn't Everything, at the Barrow game, so make sure you get your copy and get it signed by him. In the club shop, we're pleased to release our brand new warm-up t-shirts now in black. There is a limited quantity of these available both in-store and online, but please note that these will be available online only after the final whistle of our game against Notts County. On a final note from other business, we will once again be running our food bank collection here at the Poundland Bescott Stadium, ahead of us donating to 2 local food banks at the start of January. We've been notified that there's a 30% more demand this year for food donations, and if you would like to make any food donations or other products, please bring them to the main reception and we'll be able to assist you further from there. Paul, that's everything covered off from elsewhere at the football club. Back onto football matters now, and I believe you've got an update for us on the academy and the women's team.
Yeah, quite a lot going on in November actually for the academy and the women. So we'll start with the academy. So they started them up with a 6-1 defeat to Huddersfield. I think that was in a cup match. A league game against Huddersfield, they won 2-1. Good win there. November 16th, it was a narrow defeat to Lincoln. And then they didn't have a game for a while, and then they played Mansfield on the 30th. Again, 0-0. Mansfield are one of the strongest teams in the EFL Youth Alliance. And it was a 2-0 defeat in the end, but it was 0-0 up until like the 78th minute, and it was 2 late goals. But speaking to Ryan Simmons, he said that was a game last year they'd have perhaps lost, by a heavier scoreline. And Mansfield are a team who are strong and capable of scoring goals. They've got quite a lot of. They utilise their full quota of under-19s players they can use. So while it was a defeat, I think it was a sign of progress, and the Saddlers were in the game right until the final 10 minutes. So close one there, but. They were supposed to have a Birmingham Senior Cup game against Dudley Town, but that was postponed. I believe that will now take place on the 17th of December. We'll have more details on that as and when that is confirmed. But just looking at stuff away from the league action as well. So Caden Bennett, it was announced in November that he'd won the Goal of the Month award for October, so he'll get his trophy soon. So congratulations to Caden on that, and thank you for everyone who voted for him. Under 15s player as well, Yunusa Kanyi. Some of you might remember a story on our website. He got invited to an England Talent ID camp around September time, and as it transpires, he really impressed the coaches there, and he was invited back, and he went back again in November. So back in November, he spent another weekend there. So well done, Yunusa. You're doing the club proud, and congratulations on getting another chance to impress the coaches in the England setup. Really good recognition for the club and the academy there. And finally, I just want to highlight Charlie Ragg. He's now on loan at Alvechurch. He's scored a couple of goals already. Got his first goal very early doors, and at the weekend just gone. So on the 30th, he scored against Bromsgrove, who he was on loan with earlier in the season. So well done to Charlie Ragg. Looks like he's doing really well out on loan.
Any update on the women's team as well? I think they've been, slowly progressing as well, haven't they?
They have. 100% record in November actually. So they started it on the 3rd of November with a 1-0 win away at Newcastle Town. Really resilient display. Mia Fellows got the goal there, and then they had a couple of cup matches after that. Both were 2-1 wins. One was against Telford, and one was against Leamington in separate competitions. So Walsall women in really good form at the minute. We saw them here at the Poundland Bescott Stadium, and they've gone from strength to strength since that game. So. And of course, the weekend just gone, 30th/1st of December. We'll talk about that in the next rewind.
Yeah, we will. And you speak about going into December there. It's going to be another busy month for the Saddlers. I think we've got 7 games coming up this month across 2 different competitions. Starting at this moment in time, the evening, with the afternoon of filming, going into this evening's game against 5th place Notts County. probably couldn't start the month tougher with the 2 games that we've got. Overall this month, obviously Notts County this evening, Port Vale away, which we'll speak about a little bit. Barrow, Harrogate, Doncaster, Newport, and then obviously Reading in there in the Virtue Trophy. Are busy, and I feel like we always say it, but another defining month for the Saddlers.
Yes, 7-game month, I think. 2 different competitions. Everyone talks about the Christmas period. It's a huge part of the footballing calendar. A lot of games, a lot of points can be won. Last year I thought we really propelled ourselves over the Christmas period, didn't we? Well, the whole December actually. I think December right through till the FA Cup in New Year, but was really propelled the Saddlers and set us up for the second half of the season. That's what we want to do. We want to come out of it still in the position we are now. In those top 3 places. If you're there at the turn of New Year, I think you got yourself a chance, don't you? So some really tough games as well against teams up there. Obviously Port Vale coming up, local derby. They're top of the division. Barrow's always a difficult game. I don't think we've beaten them since they've been in the division. So again, tough task. Trip to Harrogate, and then Doncaster again. Really tough team. Will want to be up there this season. So a lot to look forward to. And then obviously another League One side, as you mentioned, in the Virtue Trophy. Remember the name? Well done, me. And a chance to get into the last 16 of that competition, and with that comes prize money and one step closer to a potential trip to Wembley. So a lot to play for, but very excited.
Yeah, it is. No, I think we don't hype too many games up, because as Matt Sadler always says, every game's a different challenge, every game's a tough game, and I know one that fans will particularly be looking forward to is the Port Vale game. And from the outside looking in, obviously it's one of those where at this moment in time it's first against seconds. At Port Vale, who will be hoping they can continue their really, really good form at home, and just in the league in general. But I just mentioned the fans in that one rather than build the game up. I think speaking to the ticket office today, we were close to 2,700 tickets sold. 3,000, just over 3,000 in total could be there on the day. And I have to say, for a League 2 game, I don't think you'll get many other teams taking that amount of fans, and hopefully it's another good away day.
Oh, nearly 3,000. An away game would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't wait. It should be a really good afternoon. It should be just a great game between 2 good teams. That's how we got to look at it. It'll be a great game with 2 good teams. Our fans are going to sing their hearts out. It's going to be a great atmosphere. So, yeah, one to look forward to. But in terms of the league, it's another game, another one we're fully focused on. Just doing everything we can to look after ourselves, look after what we do, and try and get those 3 points.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be sitting here come the first week of January and talking about another successful month for the Saddlers. Paul, thank you very much again for joining me as we looked back at the month of November on the Walsall Rewind. Everybody who's tuned in again, thank you very much for joining us, and fingers crossed you've enjoyed today's episode of the Walsall Rewind. We want to know, as always, what would your goal of the month be, so let us know down in the comments section. And if there's anything you want us to talk about in the December one, please let us know again, and we'll see if we can bring that up for you. Fingers crossed the Saddlers can pick up a positive result against Notts County this evening. As I said, we're in the afternoon of filming for this one and the games this evening. We're really looking forward to it. And just again, finally, thank you very much for joining us here on the Walsall Rewind.